Well, today we're diving into a pretty shocking event that's got everyone talking, especially over in Mumbai.
Yeah, a real blow to the city's political scene, and with the elections coming up, the timing couldn't be worse.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking about the assassination of Baba Siddique, and our main source today is this breaking news piece from ADC News. It's titled, Indian Politician Baba Siddique Shot Dead in Mumbai. Now, you see a headline like that, you might think, oh, another political assassination. But this one's got layers, man.
It does, and to really get a grip on this, we gotta understand who Baba Siddique was, because this wasn't just some politician.
Oh, absolutely not. This guy was practically Bollywood royalty, known for throwing these lavish parties. I mean, we're talking the who's who of Mumbai, clamoring to get an invite.
He was a former state minister, held a lot of sway in Maharashtra.
And this attack, it wasn't random either. The article says he was shot multiple times right outside his son's office. That screams premeditation, like a message being sent.
And the timing, just weeks before the elections, adds a whole other dimension to it. Was this about eliminating a rival or even trying to sway the election itself?
They did make arrests pretty quickly, though, which makes you think this was planned out. But the question is, who ordered this? And that trail seems to lead us to a name I'm sure you've heard. Lawrence Bishnoi.
Bishnoi. Now, there's a name that carries weight. For those who don't know, he's a pretty notorious figure in India's underworld. We're talking extortion, murder, the whole nine yards. Even from prison, his reach is incredible.
So we're not talking about a couple of amateurs here. This has all the markings of a well-connected, powerful player.
And there's another layer to this. The article mentions that Siddique had actually just beefed up his security detail because of threats. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. This was planned.
So if there were already warning signs, could this have been avoided? What kind of security measures were in place that failed so spectacularly? These are all questions that need answers. It's chilling to think that someone wanted him dead that badly. But the big question is why? Was this just about criminal activity, or is there something more political at play here?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, you see Bishnoi's name and you immediately think gang warfare, right? Maybe a power struggle or settling old schools. But you can't ignore the political angle, not with Siddique's influence and the election right around the corner.
So you're saying this could have been a way to get rid of a political opponent?
It's a possibility and not unheard of in India. Political assassinations, sadly, they have a long history there. Silencing rivals, grabbing power, creating fear that affects how people vote. It's all part of the game.
And where does this assassination fit into all of that?
Well, you gotta remember, Siddique was a big personality, loved by many, but he definitely had his enemies within his own party and outside of it.
So not just a question of was it political, but also who benefits the most?
Precisely. Was it a rival clearing a path to the top? Maybe someone within his own party wanted to consolidate their power. And then there's the question of how deep organized crime goes in all of this.
You mentioned Bishnoi's reach. Just how far does that influence extend, especially within politics?
Well, it's no secret that Bishnoi has connections, politicians, law enforcement, even Bollywood. There have been accusations of extortion rings run from prison. His people aren't afraid to use violence to get what they want, that's for sure.
So someone could have easily hired Bishnoi's gang to carry out this hit for political gain.
It's definitely possible. India has a long history of organized crime and politics being intertwined. These gangs, they thrive on connections with corrupt officials, providing muscle in exchange for influence and protection.
It's a dangerous game, and sadly, Siddique paid the price. But where do we go from here? 2 suspects are in custody, but will this investigation actually lead to justice?
That's where things get tricky. The Indian justice system, especially with these high-profile cases, it's complicated, to say the least. Delays, outside influence, and actually getting a conviction, it's a challenge.
So even with the arrests, you're saying there's no guarantee of justice?
Sadly, that's a real possibility. But there is a lot of public outcry over this. People want answers. The pressure is on the authorities, especially with the election so close. This assassination has put a spotlight on political violence, and people want to see action.
It's certainly a story we'll be following closely. This whole thing has really exposed a dark side to Mumbai's political scene, where these power struggles can turn deadly.
Absolutely. And with the elections just weeks away, the stakes are higher than ever. This could have a ripple effect on the whole election, affecting voter turnout, how campaigns are run, even the final outcome.
It's scary to think, this isn't just about one man dying. It's about how safe and fair this election can even be.
Right. If this was a hit to influence the election, then what's to stop it from happening again? That kind of violence, it creates this atmosphere of fear. People are afraid to vote, afraid to even speak out. It really undermines the whole idea of a free and fair election.
This whole situation is like something out of a movie, this dark underworld intertwined with politics and who knows what else. What does this say about Mumbai's political scene, though, really?
It's a harsh reminder that the fight for power, it can have deadly consequences. And sadly, this isn't unusual. India has seen this kind of political violence before, and a lot of times it goes unpunished. But this time, people are outraged, they're demanding justice, they're holding those in power accountable.
And will it be enough? Will we see real change come from this?
It's hard to say. To really tackle this problem, you need to go after the corruption, you need to strengthen the police and the courts, and there needs to be a shift in the political culture itself, away from violence and intimidation. It's a complicated issue with no easy answers.
Definitely. So here's something for everyone listening to think about. Siddique had just increased his security, so could this have been prevented? And what does this tell us about the price of power, especially in a city like Mumbai?
Important questions to consider. This really highlights that even in a democracy, the pursuit of power can come at a very high cost.
It really makes you think. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the assassination of Baba Siddique. It's a case with a lot of moving parts and even bigger implications, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. And remember, staying informed is the first step to demanding better, to demanding change.